This is Abnormal Entertainment.
I am a real American, fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American, fight for what's right, fight for your life.
You're listening to the No Cry Zone, a progressive political podcast on the Abnormal Entertainment Network.
We'll talk to you about that later.
Yeah, but there's not going to be time. I'm just curious if you have the
Speak
right
with
now.
Shane, please.
But you don't.
Sick and tired of you guys. The last guy that came here, you did the same thing. Get the hell out of here. Jesus. Get the hell out of here. The last guy did the same thing. You were the guardian.
Yes, and you just broke my glasses.
The last guy did the same damn thing.
You just body slammed me and broke my glasses.
Get the hell out of here.
If you'd like me to get the hot up, I'd also like to call the police. Can I get you guys' names?
Hey, you gotta leave.
He just body slammed me.
You gotta leave.
And welcome to the No Cry Zone, where our thoughts are what you should be thinking because we're pundits.
All right, does that mean we're going to get body slammed?
No, just real reporters get body slammed.
Oh, okay, you're right.
They're safe.
That's good. Well, it would take a mighty force of nature to body slam me anyway. So,
Got the giant on my shoulder in front of the thousands of the Pontiac Silverado.
or they could just put a whopper on the floor and I'll body slam myself. Is that a whopper?
That's the one way to get you to go to war. We'll shape all grenades by whoppers, and you'll save the whole platoon.
Right. Well, no, I wouldn't throw them away. Oh, I see.
And then
The enemy did. Right, got it.
right.
Well,
So there's that. So another wonderful opening to the show. Hello, everybody. I am here with John and Rob, as always. My spouse, Sandy, is here, and she just rolled her eyes, and she's going to get bitch slapped for that because we don't take that around here.
Wonderful. Maybe I'll get body slammed.
Well, maybe. And you never know if there's a whopper involved or not. And nothing going on. You just alluded to. There's been a lot of. Trump is in a checking league lately. The Republicans have decided that they're not fine with just normal politics. Now it's full contact politics.
it is pretty much full contact. Of course, I was talking about the Montana congressional race. Gianforte, this tech billionaire who got tired of answering questions from these Jews. So he just grabbed the guy by the neck and threw him to the ground. And they're voting today. We're recording here this on Thursday night. And
I was just listening to the interviews from NPR before you guys walked in, and it really hasn't changed many people's minds, and that's a little disconcerting.
I'm worried that it will actually bring out more people to vote for this Gianforte guy.
It is Montana.
Yeah.
It is Montana.
So there's that.
The whole thing is it does come down to there were other reporters in the room taking questions.
It was a Fox TV crew that backed up Ben Jacobs.
So,
what's that tell you?
You know, there's spin going everywhere. I guess this is just going to be a non-issue for them.
I hope he gets elected and then goes to jail.
Yeah.
You know, really, that's how it's going to work out. If you get elected, you're prosecuting. They're filing
Well,
charges.
it's a misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor assault is what he got charged with. But and the sheriff, by the way, turns out he's a big supporter and a donor to Gianforte, and he was normally, if it was Joe Schmo, you would probably get taken in cuffs and go down to the jail and get fingerprinted. He was not. And then it comes out, well, the sheriff is a big supporter of his and sort of reluctantly, like, fine, we'll charge him, whatever.
And didn't the lady who laughed in Sessions' confirmation hearing get far worse? So
she got a felony.
Yes.
I mean, so...
so the whole...
And
the whole thing is getting a little skewed here.
Right, and then we've had the reports, there was the guy at the FCC, the reporter at the FCC who got shoved up against a wall by bodyguards because one of the FCC commissioners didn't want to answer a question. And then there was the reporter in West Virginia State House who got arrested for pestering the HHS secretary.
There's a lot of snowflakes in pretty high offices
Ain't it
right
true?
now.
Ain't it true? And it's funny that you mention that because in my various Twitter and Facebook battles with the trolls, I have found a highly effective way to end the argument is to just say, okay, snowflake. They blow their stack when you call them a snowflake. They lose it. Mm-hmm. They have no sense of whatever, fuck you. Because there's the general, okay, you're an asshole, whatever, I'm done with you kind of thing. But some of these people, when you just end it with, when I'm done with them, okay, we've discoursed as much as we're going to discourse here. And I'll be, all right, whatever, snowflake, good for you. They lose it. And then they, and then they're done. Right. And they go away. And so,
it's fun.
It is fun.
It is fun. It's the sad part now. It's gotten fun.
Well,
so eventually it'll be banned like cockfighting. You'll no longer be able to call a conservative a snowflake,
right?
Because they get too violent, and there's too many injured old people out there now.
Well, and let's not forget the full body contact we saw earlier today in Europe with our president at the photo op in NATO.
Unreal.
Hi, Prime Minister of Montenegro. I know that you're about a week out from signing to be on NATO, and you're really excited to be here. Out of the way, important people in front.
That's like a third grader.
And that was the Rodney Dangerfield fix my jacket. It was like, okay, I made it.
Did you see that guy from Montenegro? No respect. No respect.
Yeah, that was a fine moment in U.S. diplomacy.
Oh, and the speech in NATO was wonderful as well. You owe us all money. It's not fair. I'm not even going to bring up how expensive this beautiful new office is.
He sounded like a kindergartner. It was
That's
awful.
Worse.
Yeah.
Impetulant child was a phrase that came to mind today after watching him bust through there. That was a 4th grade move. I mean, that was I'm the best in the class. I got to get up there.
I've been held back more than anyone. I should be in front of the picture.
Well, the funny thing is, it's even being a douche canoe that he is, when they pose the picture, don't worry, you'll go to the front.
Right.
They'll pose the President of the United States, no matter who it is, to the front. Don't
Maybe
worry.
Not now.
Well,
now that you want it so bad, you're in the tall people in back. Remember. You're kind of tall, and we got to get all the people from the Philippines who know where our nuclear subs are now. We have to get them in front.
That's we make these references, and they're all true.
They are.
Yeah. That's
of course referring to Duterte. Is that how you say his name? Duterte. The president of the Philippines, when Trump was on the phone with him, giving away the locations of our nuclear subs around North Korea.
It's not like that's secret or anything.
No.
It's fine.
Well, then Prime Minister May came out today and said she doesn't want to give any, intelligence information to Trump. She's seriously questioning whether she should do that or not.
Right, because the information was released about the Manchester bomber. Now, the White House is...
Within minutes.
Right, and the White House is like, oh, that's not us. And here's the thing, the White House is like, that's outrageous. We have to find this leaker. Part of me thinks... Now, it would not surprise me, I'll put it that way. It would not surprise me to find out if the Trump people really did leak this stuff to cause the outrage that they could then use to then go after the leakers.
Which is fine. It's still not going to work.
No. But this is how these people think.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't understand why Trump can't keep his mouth shut. Why is he's like a little kid with a secret and he can't keep it to himself.
He's like a little kid with a concussion.
See, now, if Sandy ever listened to our show, she would know about all our different theories.
Yeah.
So we're not going to bring you up to speed, but that was one of them.
You didn't get an eye roll there, but you got to look.
Well, it's the same look I've been giving for not listening to the show.
Okay.
I've listened to a couple.
You're supportive like old underwear. The elastic's going, it's still comfy, but you really can't count on it when the chips are down.
Or when you're walking through the parking lot at Kroger and your underwear falls down.
That happens to you, not me.
Sounds like a different show.
It is. Actually,
this is a promo for our new podcast.
It's a metaphor for our administration.
Yeah.
Your underwear fell down in the middle of Kroger and you just keep rolling. Keep rolling.
Well, and just to, and then of course Obama was in Berlin today. Did you see the crowd?
Like 20,000 people.
They had it. My friend he lives in Germany. He showed the Jumbotron. They had him on the Jumbotron.
Right. Mm-hmm. This thousands of people, enthusiastic crowd in Berlin for the last guy. You know, like
This is like instant nostalgia. This is the quickest I've ever seen something become nostalgia.
Yeah.
It took like 30 years for the Batman TV show to get through. And
You're right.
Star Trek actually took some time to come back and be kitsch, and not Obama.
Think about
The
all
minute
that.
He's gone.
Yeah.
I wish for something like, oh, this guy.
they were saying that the day after the election. He was still in the White House. We were like, I'm going to miss him.
He's taping up a box like,
People were crying.
Think of all the houses Jimmy Carter had to build before his reputation, you know, somewhat came back into vogue.
oh, and they still bring him up as
Yeah, I
like
know.
double du jour once in a while.
The worst Democratic president ever.
Oh, and he's such a good person.
Oh,
and does so
please.
many wonderful things around.
He's probably the greatest human being that
Yes.
we've ever had in the presidency.
Oh, you mean Jimmy Carter, who was born into poverty and got himself into the Naval Academy, became a nuclear engineer. I mean, a fucking nuclear engineer was the goddamn president. Okay, small businessman, devout, religious man, faithful to his wife all these years.
No scandals.
You know, he.
Billy Bear.
Yeah. Well,
Brothers
his
don't
brothers
count.
don't count.
Wasn't he storing the Billy Beer at Jimmy's though? It was in the
If you've ever
barn.
tried it, they had to store it because no one was drinking it.
That's how far we've come. Folks.
Hey, that was
that's
a
what we
personal-
Used to, like, that used to be the end
That
of the
was the
world.
big scandal.
That was
Yeah,
a
there was
personal
Billy Beer in the
supply.
barn.
It was fine.
yeah.
It was like the personal staff.
He still pops a can every time he builds a house.
That's why he's like 90-something
So he
years old.
pops lots of cans because he's 90, and you know most people in their 90 are going to watch Law and Order like every season back to back. You know, that's their goal.
Right.
No. I'm 90. I'm going to build a house. Oh shit! I got cancer all over me. Well, that house ain't going to build itself. You're the nicest human being on the planet.
Right, and then he's still treated like shit by the right, of course. But that's no surprise.
Well, it's Memorial Day. We can kind of go over some of that. The narrative for what being an American has been hijacked by the right. You know,
It has.
They've taken over. You know, the flag waving aspect of America and turned it into this very hostile male is what I see. Every time one of those people come on, it's either a hostile male or a servile female. And that is the antithesis that they're going towards, and it scares the hell out of me. So what do you guys think?
It's the Twilight Zone, because you're right. They've hijacked that narrative, and now you've got all of these Trumplethinskins who absolutely have no problem with the president of the United States and his administration having contact with the Russians.
Well, and it's not
The Russians!
No.
These are the commies!
Now Nate Silver
I mean-
has come out and said that the base is dwindling.
Right.
So and Nate Silver's usually spot on. He's a numbers guy that I generally trust. And he said that the hardcore Trump base has eroded by about 50%.
Right. But nonetheless, it is just amazing to me how many people still go, well, what's wrong if he talked to Russia? You're like, are you, what?
Well, this is a natural
What's
progression.
wrong if he had the Russian ambassador in the Oval Office with Russian media but no U.S. media? I mean, that alone should have you run out of the White House by a pitchfork mob.
It's still a natural progression
But-
from where we were, though. Because look, you see, because Russia was the bad guys, Japan were the bad guys in World War II. There are certified bad guys out there, and we've always had the flag-waving, gun-toting paragons of our country. The John Wayne, the war movies, all these things. We're just glorified all of that stuff. Russia's really smart, and they've run under the radar so long. And our memories are so short. They're not that evil threat. North Korea, he's crazy. He's the evil threat.
Right.
And so now a vast majority of people just don't get how bad they are.
They don't get it, but this is the thing. Many episodes back, I talked to you about the series from Oliver Stone, The Secret History of the United States,
Correct.
which was really, really good. And if people can check it out, they should. It was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there, but and it was basically the history of the 20th century, World War II on, and a lot of what he said. It was interesting to me to see how the Russians were. He wasn't trying to gloss over Soviet atrocities or criminal acts, but sort of talking about in the geopolitical sense about how U.S., especially the military, end of our political spectrum used the Russians as the bogeyman throughout most of the 20th century to achieve their ends. And a lot of times where there were opportunities for peace, where there were opportunities to sort of reach through and kind of come to some understanding, we slapped the hand away because it didn't suit our particular needs. So it's interesting now that when you have somebody like Putin, Putin is, I would say from everything I've read and seen, is a verifiable gangster. Okay, this is a sociopath who has nuclear weapons, and the Russians really are the bad guys. I mean, they really did interfere in our election. I mean, they put their thumb on the scale of the election and tipped it the way they wanted, and they're reaping the benefits of that, and we're watching it in real time right in front of us. It's like the guy walking into your house and fucking your wife right in front of you, and he's just smiling, and you're sitting in the chair going, is this really happening? I don't know.
Could you try?
I mean, yeah.
Could you try muting it?
Hey, you're on the remote. Could you? I mean, we're watching this happen, and nobody's doing anything.
Well,
not nobody, but I mean,
we've got stuff is happening.
I know.
C-SPAN, great question and answer with what's his name? I always forget names. Well, Trey was part of that great question and answer session.
Trey's
who are they? Brennan.
Yeah.
And
CIA director.
Gowdy ate his own dick on that one.
He kept going back for more, too. I don't know if you...
The taste of dick was just ringing in his mouth.
Yeah.
He was like, well, I shouldn't have a sucking helping up my own dick, but I think I will, munch.
And the line of questioning on that side was just, it was frivolous. It was what it was.
It was, but the answers proved to be quite illuminating because Brennan answered in such a manner where he got to say everything he needed to say despite the ridiculous question.
Yeah, whatever ridiculous question, however Gowdy tried to put it, tried to twist it. You're right, Brennan would go, well, and he would just twist it right back, and he would use it as an opportunity to deliver yet another piece of information.
Right, so there's more going on, and there's the scuttlebutt is, people that know Comey well say Trump needs to be incredibly terrified of a public Comey.
Well, the thing is, Mueller being appointed to special counsel, at first I was a little wary about this because technically he answers to Trump.
Right.
But by all accounts now that more information's come in, about basically his appointment, that this Rosenstein, the assistant attorney general that appointed him, he did so without consulting with the White House. Mm-hmm. It was a shock to the White House when they heard about it basically secondhand, like after the news was done.
How Comey found out he was fired.
Pretty much, yeah. So
there you go.
And then putting someone like Mueller in charge of it, who has this pretty good reputation, who served both Republican and Democratic presidents, certainly serves the need to have somebody impartial in charge. But better than all of that is Mueller is somewhat of a mentor to Comey.
Right.
And so, Mueller's been described as Comey on steroids in terms of his ability to kind of cut through the shit. So
there was a good story when they were talking about the Ashcroft incident,
right,
where they were trying to get Ashcroft to sign off when he was in hospital, and Comey was blocking it when the Republicans came in to try and get it.
Right. I mean, he physically met Alberto Gonzalez and the chief of staff, Andy Card, in front. It's like, no, you're not going in.
Right, but he called Mueller in to sit with Ashcroft until he could get there.
Right.
And because he knew the one guy he could trust that wasn't going to let the AG sign off on some horrible, awful thing.
So he has the ability to transcend, party politics. And I think also reasonably though, Rosenstein is this conflicted figure because he also wrote the memo that led to Comey's firing, and in the memo he brings up things that frankly, if you have to be honest to say, he makes some good points about how Comey mishandled the Hillary email issue.
His first answer in regard to the firing based on his memo, I think, was telling, because subsequently he had a meeting with Sessions and Trump and then had a different answer afterwards. Right. But he didn't recommend a firing, I don't think so.
No, but it's clear now that he wrote the memo knowing this was going to be used to oust Comey. I mean, it was because before, and the thing was, he being a lawyer, he knew how to parse his words just perfectly. That Well, I didn't actually say that. I left you with that impression, but I didn't actually say that.
So is Mueller a make good?
Yeah. I mean,
Is the Comey tour a make good
let's see.
for what happened in the election?
That jury's out. We'll find out. But the issue is now you're beginning to see. I know that beginning to see some people are beginning to express doubts about is there any there when it comes to Russian collusion. Mm-hmm. So in other words, you see these little pieces of circumstantial evidence that there was contact. Contact is not necessarily collusion. So. Right. Can you prove beyond a reasonable doubt? My wife was always like, "Why is it taking so long?" And I'm like, "Because you're going after the big kahuna. Mm-hmm. You're going to take down the president. You got to have a slam dunk case done. Like it's like it's the kind of case where the prosecutors come in smiling with their folders, and they're just smiling because they know they're about to just bend you over.
Pee videos.
That's
what you have to walk into court with.
Do we have to get to hear Mr. Trump?
Right, exactly. Just hold up a beta.
I'll tell you what happens at 3 minutes in. If we have to watch it, we will.
I'm ready to hit upload on my Facebook page, Mr. President. So,
but is this the perfect time for the Democrats to re-hijack this fight for the American dream, the American ideal, and go after the money trail and say, because here's my thought is, who knows if Russia or any other countries have been playing this game since Citizens United, and they have these front groups up. Could we not call this, get past the election part of it, but say this is the problem with our election, is we don't know where all this money's coming from. We want to put a clamp on it. Do you think the American people, moderates, would get on board?
Not yet.
Mm-mm. No?
Not yet. No, it'll take a tidal wave in 2018, which there was an article today talking about how some of the dynamics are building for a Democratic wave in 2018, but it's way too early to say. But I think it would take 2 elections. You need to see a majority Democratic Congress. But I think it's not just because I think the Democratic Party, as all parties will do, will revert to its old ways. They're saying one thing now.
Right.
When they're given the reins of power again, if they're given the reins of power again, I think they will. The natural instinct will be to kind of settle back into the corporate mode. Let the money flow. Yeah. We're in charge. Why change things? We're in charge now, so why would we want to change things? And you're like, no. It's because you're in charge that you have to change things.
So, and then the argument that we just need a progressive Tea Party movement sort of thing, it's pointless as well, because what has the Tea Party done? They've fallen into the money too. Like, right. We could get money?
Yeah, you're right.
That changes things, right. And we've had this conversation, but I think it will have to come from the people.
It will.
Kind of like I hate to bring up the Bernie name, but he has created something here. I think there was some guy that just won last night that Bernie was endorsing. First one in years in that district. I think it will have to come from the people. I don't think that we can change Washington with the current players.
And it can't come in 2 years. It's just like losing weight.
Right.
It took 20 years to build this wonderful body you see before you. It's going to take 20 years to take all this crap off.
I believe it was in Utah that they have created a third party of moderates that are, they keep saying that we're the sane moderates of our 2 parties.
Right.
And that seems like a growing trend.
Which would be great.
Can we change this with the message of this is what America stands for? I keep thinking of Saving Private Ryan, the sergeant there. They were all wondering who the captain's profession was.
Right,
They had a pool going, and it ended up he was just a school teacher. At the end of it, he was, and here he was. He did all these horrific things. And that is the American dream that I think most Americans grew up with.
I know there's a lot of school teachers that would love to get a gun, but anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
But it's normal Americans that got put into an extraordinary circumstance and stood up for what we all believe in.
Or what we were told to believe in, too, because there's a lot of angst involved with that. I think the hardest part with the Saving Private Ryan example is that a majority of Americans thinks that's a documentary.
Right. Well, this is true, and
frankly,
in the veterans' defense, that's probably tame.
Right.
It was probably a much worse time.
Oh, yeah.
And yet
than what was shown on film.
Right. But, okay, so what I do think, though, you're talking about, like, the moderate party in Utah or whatever. So I think of Utah, and I think of, like, Evan McMullen, okay, who was this Republican who, he ran for president. He's been anti-Trump from the beginning. But he's very much a conservative Republican. And on a lot of issues, I don't agree with this guy one bit. But I think what we have to do on both sides is we've got to be open to compromise. We have to stop making compromise a dirty word. So progressives have to stop slapping somebody away because they have a different view on, say, abortion, or they have a different view on gun ownership. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying we have to give up our point of view on those issues. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that where we can find common ground, we need to meet across the aisle. And the same thing goes for them. They can't slap a hand that way either. So the moderates, the sane, actual patriotic moderates on both parties have got to come together, and they've got to stop looking for ideological purity.
Right.
That's what gets us into trouble, I think, is where we're unwilling to make coalitions. Coalitions require compromise. Compromise is sausage making. People love sausage. No one wants to know how it's made.
Right. How does that fit with the obstruct mantra?
The compromise mantra
that we were advocating for the
I think it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine to
obstructing together.
Well, it depends on what you're obstructing. Okay.
We should just obstruct everything.
So
that comes
if I'm obstructing the building of this fucking wall, yeah, I'm all for it. If I'm obstructing a Muslim ban, yep, I'm down for obstruction. You got it. If I'm obstructing well, I guess it's hard to say at this point. I was going to say
let's say a good plan comes out of that you actually would have supported if it wasn't Trump comes out of the White House.
Right.
Obstruct it?
I mean, if you have to.
It's tough.
It is tough.
We're caught in this.
Yeah. You're right. No. I get what you're saying.
Compromise has to work.
Here's the thing that I feel good about. That's never going to happen.
It may.
That's not a test I'll ever have to take.
That Democrat Kushner without the security clearance may come up with something that you actually enjoy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, yeah. Don't forget that Democrat Kushner and his fine wife are, from all we're hearing now, are probably the ones that got Comey fired.
Well, yeah.
Over Steve Bannon. Even Steve Bannon, evil douche that he is, was smart enough to know, like, yeah, I don't know if you should be firing Comey right now.
Darth Vader stopped choking the generals.
Right. So the people that are supposed to be the moderating influences in the White House, that's a load of crap. There is no moderating influence. I mean, that's the thing. We didn't know going into this administration. We were like, is Bannon going to be in charge? Is Jared going to have the power? Is Ryan really going to be and now you realize, nope, it's all Trump. He does whatever the fuck he wants. He says what he wants. He does what he wants. They're over here. Bannon's over here doing his shit. Jared's over here doing his shit. And Trump is doing whatever the hell he wants, says whatever he wants, does whatever he wants. And there is no controlling him.
My point is the only way to point out all of that is to follow the money. And it really is all about money, and you can prove it every day in, day out. Isn't that a rallying cry? And I want to do this on top of obstruction, as I think the other side just thinks of us as obstructionists and don't have a plan, just like we thought they were obstructionists and don't have a plan.
Well, they didn't.
They didn't. And I can't say that ours was all that great either. I mean, we got Obamacare and we got some other great things, but think of if it would have been a well-planned out maneuver by the Democratic Party, it could have been much different. But the whole point is to have that overarching message of this is what in America that we're fighting for is. Start wrapping ourselves up into that same flag with better ideas that aren't hateful and that aren't, go kill your neighbor.
I just want to say this though. I think that so let's look at Trump. The people that elected him love him. Why do they love him? He's rich and famous. So to say like we need to follow the money and see like where it's coming from, I don't think Americans care because they are rah-rah. Like, I love people with money. They're the best thing on
Not those
earth.
Americans.
Even if it's Russia, even if it's Iran, even
well,
if it's
what
North Korea.
What are they doing now? I don't think. But
enemies,
Rob, let's look what's happening now. Nobody cares where the money's coming from. If they did, there'd be a much bigger outcry. I mean, they're not invested. They are not. The American people are not investing themselves in where the money's coming from.
But okay, so
I just feel like we need to there's got to be some different strategy. I think we need to take ourselves out of what's happening, what has happened, and look at what is happening, and maybe come up with a different view.
Well, okay, so I think your two thoughts are not mutually exclusive. I think, Rob, you're right. Follow the money. That's for the prosecution. Keep that.
And it's going on.
Keep that. Document it. Follow it. But as far as publicizing it to turn the public's mind around, I have to agree with saying it won't. Like those hardcores, you're right. Well, he's rich, so he must be smart. I mean, that's their math. That's their math.
And that's what I want to turn. Is I think that's what we're up against right now. Is they all think that about us. He's rich and famous. He got elected. You guys are just whiners and losers. Have that trickle of fact, with an overarching, you guys are on the wrong path type of message.
Rob.
Yes.
For that to work, people got to actually care about your message.
Yes, and look at
the flag has been co-opted. Look at George Orwell taught us that.
Yes, put it on a fidget spinner.
That's a good plan. That's a better plan.
I don't know how to get the message out and how to get people to look at it, but I do think
I know how to get
right
the message
now,
out. How do we get them to care?
Right.
Well, and
well, I think it's the message does that. I think it has to.
I don't know. I think it starts with education. Like, let's really look at that let's look at how kids are educated now. When we were all kids, we were educated on civics and civic duty and, the social contract. I mean, I remember having discussions in grade school about the social contract. I bet if you asked an 8th grader now, or even a high schooler now, they would not even know what the social contract is.
No. I mean, you would say civics, and people go, well, what is civics? Right. And actually, I had that question asked, and I said, well, probably the quickest answer to me is civics is the intersection of society and politics. And, to understand what civics is, and so when you say, we need to have more civics education, it's not government. It's not learning the 3 branches, although that's important, and we should be teaching that stuff. I'm not trying to say we're not. That's not civics.
At least to Trump.
Civics is understanding, the social contract that you're talking about, your responsibility as a citizen, right. What you can expect to, what your rights are and what your duties are, and where those two things interplay. That's civics, and people have no clue of that.
Right, and then they don't, and so now we do.
We do. Last week, this is breaking. It's Thursday right now, so this is not going to be breaking news for you tomorrow. But last week, the Post declared that there was a high-level administration official being looked at in the Russian probe.
Yeah,
that official has been named, and it is, drum roll, please. Jared Kushner.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Flynn is still top priority, and although he won't release his money statements, a bipartisan coalition of Republicans and Democrats have subpoenaed from his businesses because businesses can't take the fifth, end quote. So the money thing is happening as well.
Right.
Well, and so that goes to what you were saying, Rob. They are continuing to do that.
Have the drip.
No, keep that going. No one's saying
get
don't.
A positive message going, and whether it be a civic message, I keep thinking of the after-school little cartoons that would show up right before all the cool cartoons that would show you stuff. How a bill was made.
Yeah.
They were public
Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah, Schoolhouse Rock. They were public service announcements. I think of how many kids didn't know a damn thing before they saw that.
That was me.
And now they could be senators by now.
I was educated locally, by the way.
And
Just letting you know right now.
and it can't be a dirty word to have education, like you're saying. Robotics are coming. Artificial intelligence is coming. These type of things need very complex brains working on them. We have to have those things, and that should be part of our message. We want to be strong. We want to be the strongest in the world when it comes to everything, and that's what I think we got to get a positive message going that can counteract this repeated. I was listening to Rush Limbaugh today, go on and on about the reporter. It was all the reporter's fault. That's what they're droning on and on and on about. What it is to be a tough American is to take these things, matters by the balls, and take them for all they're worth when you have the chance. And it's a crazy idea of America to me. I don't see that. And
so I mean, if it wasn't a reporter, say he just had he was doing road rage and did that to somebody on the street, they would vilify him. But because it's a reporter,
right,
they're like, well, it's okay.
Well, and
it's okay. He's a dirty libtard reporter.
They keep saying stick the recording, and everybody knows how you work a cell phone. You put it down below their face so that when they talk, it goes into it. They're not putting it up in your face. Mm-hmm. So I mean, there's this spin going on from their side to make it seem like if you're not on their side, you're un-American.
Well, it doesn't matter where he held the phone, because you were listening to the same thing I heard on NPR where they're talking to those voters in Montana about this reporter and they were like, the mere fact that somebody dared to ask this guy a question, that he deserved it. He had it coming, this reporter. Well, he had it coming because he's bothering him. He's running for Congress. It's the day before the election. What the hell is wrong with you people? That's where civics falls apart. That's a lack of civic education. To understand that's his responsibility. That's his duty as a candidate for Congress. Answer fucking questions without body slamming the questioner.
That's our president of the United States gave them permission.
Right,
called them
you're
fake
right.
news. That's he makes them go out of his room, out of his sight whenever he doesn't like what they're doing. So that is what we're doing, and we have to have a counter message to that. That's what my biggest point here is. We have to fight them. We have to resist, but we also have to come up with a positive counter message to actually get people on board.
So there's the positive counter message. That's great. And the people that will ascribe to that positive counter message already have. What I think you're missing, and I don't want you to run out and find the first tree because it's depressing, is that they like the old message. People enjoy beating each other up and feeling powerful and being dicks.
Yep.
And you will never give a positive message that's going to counteract the endorphins that come up when you punch a reporter in the face with glasses on.
Yep.
A guy named Ben Jacobs with glasses.
He can afford new ones. He's an international banker.
Right. Well,
But you can change public opinion about said person.
What you can do is
you can sway it to the side that wins.
No, you can. The only thing that we've been able to do successfully as a country is make these people feel so bad for thinking that way that they can't come out in public.
Right.
Now they're out in public, and we're not putting the genie back in the bottle.
Right.
They love this.
I mean, Aziz Ansari, comedian, you remember him from Parks and Rec, and he did the Saturday Night Live the day after Trump's inauguration, and he did a great bit, and it has stuck with me since, where he basically just said, he's sort of like, wow, you people's, or, like these Trump supporters are like really emboldened, coming out with, we can be racist again, and he's like, and he did, and I won't even try and, paraphrase, he did it much funnier, but basically he was saying like, please no, please pretend again,
Right.
please, where and he was like, I didn't realize the struggle you were having all these years holding it in, but please thank you for your service, but please keep it back in, push it back down. And that's the truth of the matter, is because you want to know what? This generation of people, and not that, but largely with demographically, they are older, okay? Let them die. Die off, please. Please go and die. Frankly, because you're never going to change that hardcore 25, 30%. You're never going to change them.
I say that all the time.
It's like, fine. So here's the thing. We need to regain power is what I'm getting at. So we need to regain the reins of political power. Okay. They can feel isolated again. Good. All right. Here's some, OxyContin, all right,
and some Imodium maybe.
you know, and whatever. Go and just please go die. I mean, I'm sorry. I know that's not a message that's going to be universally accepted, and I know it's not politically correct. But well, these folks don't like political correctness anyway. So here's your OxyContin. Go die.
They don't like it. Them as snowflakes.
I think there's a demographic that always gets overlooked is the people who don't vote because they feel powerless in the system, and that's what I'm getting at. Is you have to create this power from the
that
base.
just goes right back to civics.
It does.
But it does. But okay. But how many people this election voted for the first time? A lot. I don't know the exact numbers, but we know that a lot of people that had not voted in years, if ever, voted. And they overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump.
But that's okay. I'm okay.
No, that's not okay.
I'm okay with that.
Go back to not voting.
Because that was the message that they were getting. That was the only message they were getting at that time.
Liked it.
And they liked it. But who's to say they won't like ours? And who's to say there aren't more that aren't voting that aren't...
Well, Rob, I understand. I totally get what you're saying. I mean, we don't have, like, the Democrats do not have a message that a solid message that everybody can stand behind. They don't. They're all over the place, and they don't have any one person that's going to have this inspire them to be a cohesive group. You're absolutely right about that. They did, but they didn't this time. I mean,
it was FDR the last time. That's what I was getting at. Well, here's the thing. So you know why the unified "be cool to each other" message won't work, and this is due 100% to American laziness. It's more work to be cool with everyone than it is to hate everyone.
You're right. It's easier. Yeah, I was just thinking about this the other day. I saw some comment talking about the stupid transgender bathroom crap again, and somebody just they could not get over it. And it was like this notion of like, well, but if you got a dick, you go in the dick room, and if you got a vajayjay, you go in the vajayjay room. What's the problem here? And people they can't get over it. They cannot get over it. And you're right, because it is harder to just sometimes just go, okay, it's not always that simple, and sometimes some things that, there's things I don't understand, but I accept that I don't understand them, and it's okay. I don't have to understand everything necessarily.
Like Twin Peaks.
Listen, I don't want to go to public bathrooms to begin with. I don't even care who's in there.
Right.
It could be man, woman, alien. I don't care. I don't want them in there because I just want to be by myself in the bathroom.
I've always wondered that why they don't mandate just one-holers. Like, we got to have 4 one-holers.
Right.
They all got a door.
Stalls. Yeah, no. I get it.
What the hell?
How many people do you have going to your bathroom all at once?
I don't want to hear phone conversations and bodily functions going on.
I hate
get in and get out.
I mean, as long as we're having bathroom talk now. Look, I hate fucking urinals. I hate them. You got splashback issues. This is bullshit. I don't like it. No, fuck the urinals. Okay.
No,
you look down and there's like a cigarette butt and there's some other shit. You're like, come on.
That's just stuff to aim
target
for.
practice.
That's a kind.
What are you, 12?
Yes. No, unlike my wife, I don't mind the public bathrooms. And I actually choose to use them because their water and their paper is cheaper than mine.
But cheaper in every way.
Yeah, but I didn't pay for it, so it's totally cheap.
Ultimate and cheaper.
Right.
In fact, I'll go out of my way to not crap at home and stop at the BK.
Right. Well,
he totally does that. Yeah. He totally does.
It's just how it works. I was broke for too long.
But don't you appreciate that?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather BK handles that than
I
you?
Until I come home with the seat video. It's some kind of other crusties that happen.
But to go back to the point though it is so much easier to just be exclusive than inclusive.
Yes.
It's just easier to be like, this is my tribe and the rest of you go
first.
Go die. It's easier. It's just easier. It's easier all the way around. And people don't want to have to think.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to be a good person.
Are hard.
It's hard to be a good person.
And we're talking about relationships with the rest of the world and people who are different. It's difficult.
Yep.
We're not going to agree on a bunch of stuff.
Right.
And it's so much easier just to insulate and hate, and that's what they love about it. A bunch of white people all got together and hung out and said, oh, now we got our white guy.
Yeah. Now we don't have to be PC anymore. Fuck all of them.
Unprompted, they threw unlike-minded people out of rallies.
Right.
Violently. Yeah. Not even prompted. That's first response. They dig it, and we're not going to change their minds until they all frickin' die.
I'm really not talking about those people that would be at the rally. I'm talking about people that, maybe voted, libertarian, there's a big number out there that could have swung this race.
Well, I think there are people
I think it was just because lack of money.
I think there are people who voted for Trump who aren't admitting that now. Okay, they voted for Trump out of whatever. They thought, well, he really won't win, and this is my protest vote. I think there was a certain number of people that did that. Like,
Agreed.
well, he's not going to win, but this is my way of saying, fuck you, system. And then the next morning they went, oh, shit. Okay, and those people, most of those people will never admit that they voted for him.
Never.
No, they'll just be quiet or lie. Okay, then there's a certain group of people, and a smaller group, that did vote for Trump because they're not too keen on the issues, but they just generally thought, he's something different. Let's try something different. And now they go, oh, I see this. No, the difference not good.
Then there was the Bernie people that switched to Trump,
right?
Which are probably about the same size as the not good people that just wanted something different.
So these groups that we're talking about, I think, can be persuaded to come in. So, but it's that hardcore, and these are the people that would go to the rallies. Any that would go to a rally, I think. Probably not.
And it's not going to be a Democrat message.
And I want to tie it all back into this Russian investigation because that is getting us a lot of bad press right now. I mean, we are being the patriots, but the right is taking us to task because there's no facts coming out.
Well, again,
it's all reporters this and reporter that.
So, but who's listening to that?
Well,
I mean, we can't. It's so hard to gauge
if who's listening to what.
Who's paying attention to.
There's still a solid core of Trump people, though.
Well, no, Roger Ailes died. One's died.
Well, I'll talk about solid core. But I still think that there's a large number of the hardcore Trump supporters who it really does not matter what happens. They will go down with this. And so it doesn't matter what revelations come out. They don't believe it. So even if you have the PP video, they're either going to do one of two things. They're going to say, well, what's wrong with having a Russian hooker urinate on you? What's the big deal? Why are you guys so... God, what are you, prudes? They'll either just go that direction and you're like, okay, I can't talk to you.
That's when the Christian right that helped elect him will be like, there's nothing against peeing on each other in the Bible.
Right. It's not one of the 10 Commandments, so go for it. Or they'll just say it's fake. It's one or the other. I mean, that group, you'll never... So who cares about them? You can't convince them of anything. You could have direct, evidence of payments, from Putin. You have a video of Putin pulling out his wallet, handing a thing of cash to Trump, and Trump saying, thanks, bowing down, kissing his ring, and then putting the money in his wallet. Doesn't matter.
Making a wish on an orb.
Right. That would never happen.
That would never happen.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So those hardcores, there's just nothing that's ever going to convince them we shouldn't even try. I'm not worried about them. Screw them. They're impervious to... So the fake news thing worked superbly on those folks.
Yep.
It has been that was a masterful stroke of
propaganda. Really.
Propaganda, thank you. That has worked excellently. And now it's time to just not worry about them. It's the fringe elements. It's the other groups, not that hardcore, that we can peel off.
We have a division in our own party. I mean, really, there's Bernie and...
I don't think it's going to come from the party. The party's compromised. The Hillary Clinton haters are all there still. Mm-hmm. The Bernie haters are all there. The Bernie haters, probably Bernie
skeptics.
Bernie skeptics are still there. It's not this message is going to have to be a secular message, not a party message. It can't come from either side. And if it's going to work, it's going to come in the wake of a tragedy. And it's going to come from someone who's not in politics.
Right. You mentioned earlier there was a Bernie supporter, and she won a New York alderman's position in a precinct that has been Republican for 40 years. Just the other night, that's the one you were referring to, and she's a Bernie supporter. And I saw on Twitter, some people that were that were saying, because people were like, "Oh, this is awesome news. This is a good sign of things to come. That we've got a Democrat winning this." Long time held Republican seat, but then people were like, yeah, but she's a Bernie supporter, so it doesn't really matter. And these were like the party establishment. They just wanted to Bernie supporter, so it doesn't matter. And you're like, no, it does matter. What are you talking about?
Well, that's actually the important thing that I'm trying to get at is it is a Bernie supporter and it is a grassroots movement that I think will come up. And I want that each and every one of these little candidates to be out there with a transparency, and America is the greatest nation on earth, and we can do anything message that will counteract the hate message that's coming from the right. I want it to be every newscast. I want it to be local newscasts. I want it to be all out there with and that was a very strong thing that happened in the Republican Party, and why we're looking at it from the opposite side right now is they did somehow get together with a scary message, but it worked.
It worked, yes. In a craven bid for power, yes, it worked, and now look at that party. The best description I saw was that Donald Trump is wearing a suicide vest, okay, and he's surrounded himself with the Republican Party. I mean, and he's going to push that button, and the whole party's going to go down with this guy because they've allowed themselves to go into this ideological purity mode and push everyone out.
He doesn't pass.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter. Because it's all a craven bid for as long as they get power. Look, their answer to a lot of this stuff is Gorsuch. They don't care. We got Gorsuch, so it all was worth it. We got Gorsuch, so everything is worth it. It doesn't matter that we've allowed this foreign power to infiltrate our government. They don't care. It doesn't matter that our intelligence services are now compromised completely. No, I don't care. We got Gorsuch. Done.
Now, some of them care. And I don't think that we're starting to see more across the aisle coalitions of the investigations and the coming outs and all these things. And it's slowly going on, but I think that by 2018, there's going to be a lot of repentance for signing with Trump.
Right.
Blindly, because largely it was a blind side. Sight unseen. Yeah, we don't know what he's really going to do, but we're with the president.
Right. Well,
and it's
look, we had that tape come out last week of Paul Ryan and his Kevin McCarthy, back last June, and McCarthy saying he thinks Trump was getting paid by Putin. And then everyone kind of laughs, and he goes, no, really, I mean it. And then Ryan's like, shut up, don't say that. That's on tape. Mm-hmm. And so you have the leadership of the congressional Republicans basically openly acknowledging that they doubt his validity as a leader. And they don't care because they saw that. Because at that point, because I had somebody ask me, they said, "Well, why June? It was not too late to replace Donald Trump." I said, "Yeah, they could have replaced Donald Trump, but nobody that was going to beat Hillary Clinton." Mm-hmm. In June of last year, they were like, the only person right now that we think has a chance to beat Hillary would be Trump.
Yeah,
and they were right, and it worked. And bravo for you. And here's your Neil Gorsuch. Meanwhile, you've absolutely hollowed out the institutions of our republic, and good for you. Thank you.
I think the general, a large portion of the populace does care. I do think.
Well, we'll see.
We don't hear from them because, of course, they're not represented. They're not represented in Congress. They're not represented. They're certainly not represented in where we live. Mm-hmm. So, again, we got to be aware of the bubble that we're kind of rolling in here, and all your Twitter and Facebook fights and all the time you spend trying to convert people. You're like a Mormon missionary.
listening to Rush Limbaugh, I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad.
That was just a...
You want to lie down?
That was just a happenstance.
That was an accident.
It was an accident.
Do you need an aspirin? Or... He's got a fever?
I do think it is important to hear that other side, or else
bubble
yourself.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the best. That's one of the best parts about living around here is we always get to hear the other side.
Right.
Sure do.
Well, yes and no. You hear a very dumbed down version in public.
Well, that's what they're getting. That's
and impatient. They don't even want to speak because they know that once again they can't change your mind.
That's why fake news is so effective.
Right.
You don't need to know any details. You can just go, oh, that's fake. Mm-hmm. You don't have to know. You just go, it's against my guy. It's fake.
Yeah.
Done. I don't even have to think about it.
Like even if there's irrefutable fact, they'll say it's fake.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It's like that Staples button.
Yeah. Well,
I think you can, on Memorial Day, I want to keep going back to this. I think you can wrap it up into a flag. And, I keep thinking of Don Burgett, Howell guy right around here. I had spoken with him a couple of times. He told me some great stories. I keep thinking of him. what he would think.
And Don Burgett, put it into perspective. Don Burgett parachuted into Normandy on D-Day.
All the way.
19-year-old fought with his unit all the way to Eagle's Nest in Bavaria.
Yep.
He was in A Company of the 506th
Right.
Parachute Infantry Regiment. Band of Brothers was about E Company. So he was in that same regiment, just in a different company.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the kind of guy. He's like greatest generation, one of those solid guys. Okay, there.
All right, thank you.
Move forward.
But anyway, what he would think about, what our politicians have given away. You know what I mean? And that's a voice that may or may not be listening to Rush Limbaugh at this point. And put in different terms on mainstream media, it might switch a switch. That's all I'm saying. Is, there are many out there that are hearing the wrong message. That's all I want to say.
But the message is wrapped in the right candy. We're never going to get the flag back. I don't think that's going to happen. I
think this is the best opportunity.
I don't think there's going to be an
opportunity. Foreign power has wrecked one of our fundamental rights to vote.
But when you can automatically say that,
point to all of the money leaks and how we can close these off with simple laws. Why are these people not after these simple laws?
But
I think this is a perfect opportunity to take gains.
But you have to believe that rhetoric, though.
You have to first start saying it.
Well, it's being said. It's being said all the time. But they're not going to believe it. It's just so look at my students. Well, why can't we be nicer to that country?
Right.
We should be nice to every country. So we'll start with them. But you don't understand. It doesn't work like that with Russia. It's not how it works. Mm-hmm. We should just be cool with everyone. And it's just a lack of. The flag is gone, man. And it's like I said, it's going to take a tragedy and someone outside of politics. It's the saddest part about all of it. It takes tragedies.
I think what you can do is I don't like the phrase wrap yourself in a flag. I don't like that. But I know what you're saying. Mm-hmm. I think if we can sort of redefine what patriotism is and take it away from right now, patriotism is and has been for decades now, has sort of been hijacked by the people that would say that support the troops, doesn't matter for where or why they've been deployed, just support them and shut up and don't say anything negative because that's not supporting the troops, so you're not patriotic. Mm-hmm. That crowd has held this ground for so long, and I think I do agree with you that now is probably the most opportune time to redefine it, but we have to be able to redefine it in terms of compromise so that you can say, for my fellow Americans who don't agree with me on abortion and don't agree with me on gun rights and don't agree with me on, minimum wage, whatever those issues are, but we do agree that voting is the fundamental right of a citizen and we should open up voting to all, make it easier, all the rest. If we can come to some core agreements on things, but not say, I can't be with you because I can't support you because you're anti-abortion. Right. We have to kind of get over that. I don't know how we'll do it. I don't know. There's no roadmap. I'm not offering a roadmap.
I may be a pessimist, but I think that we may find there's less common agreement than we think there may be.
Well, absolutely.
It's a tall order.
Well, and that's what our system is supposed to be like. Is it's supposed to be, everybody does their little chip in, and the guy with the most amount of money has the most amount of support and goes forward in his smaller elections to bigger elections and creating that bubble all along. And where it's gotten perverted is big money. You can go and get a check for $500,000. Why would you go out and court, $10,005 donations when you can just have a check for $500,000?
Right.
So that is my point. Is it comes back to civics. Is you have to teach our younger generation that is the power, is the power of the purse and the power of the vote. And this is our best time to do that and change this message from a quote-unquote witch hunt, which damn well is, because I sense a witch, but,
We should see if you can float.
Yeah. I think he would.
If you float, you're a witch. If you sink and die, you're innocent.
But anyway, change that to a much more optimistic, patriotic, go forward, we're going to kick ass message.
I don't know.
Instead of we don't like the Republicans, we lost an election message.
Yeah,
That's not the message, though.
But it is. It's not what they're getting, and we're proving them.
But we're not trying to talk to them. We're trying to talk to the underside of people.
They're watching our news too. I mean, I think that's what something that you guys don't understand is they have to. They're forced to watch mainstream media, and they really only have Breitbart or their website guys and Fox. So, I mean, at the tire shop.
See, but I dispute that that's mainstream media. That's not mainstream media.
Breitbart
I dispute that it is.
What?
That Breitbart or even Fox now is mainstream media.
No, yeah,
Fox it strays in that area. But
what I'm saying is at the tire shop or at the local bar, they've got CNN on. They don't have Fox on for them.
Around here?
Yeah, well... In
what
most
bars
places,
are you going to?
Yeah, in most places, they'll have a much more middle of the road news on. You know, they won't be
that no one's paying attention to.
Right, true, but they are hearing the message.
Right, and I think
that's what I'm saying. Is we might not be hearing their message, but they are. If it gets into the mainstream media, they are hearing it. And right now, our message is very. Gotcha. We're going to go and get you. We don't have a
that doesn't
patriotic.
That doesn't sell.
Well, that is a patriotic go forward message.
But advertisers don't buy that. They won't do it.
well, advertisers can look what's happening to Hannity.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it happened to O'Reilly, and now it's happening to
Limbaugh.
Hannity and Limbaugh too.
And Glenn Beck.
And it can be effective to go after their advertisers. At the end of the day, they only see green. They don't care about red or blue. And so, if
Hannity
you can,
lost a bunch because of
he put forth that Seth Rich conspiracy that this DNC staffer who was basically he was robbed and murdered in Washington D.C. Because there's no crime in Washington D.C. Okay,
calm down.
And that then they tried to say that he sent all these WikiLeaks messages, and so therefore the Russia it was such a convenient thing, and then of course it's all complete and total bullshit, no proof whatsoever. The Rich family's like, shut up. Stop using our son for this crap. The police are like, this is bullshit. And Fox just kept going. And even Fox has retracted it, but Hannity kept moving forward with it. Even after Fox, look, when Fox retracts something, it's pretty fucking bad. Okay? All right? I mean, they really stepped in some shit on that one. And Hannity was like, that's not shit. That's freedom goo. That smells so good, that freedom goo.
That's how you grow crops.
Yeah, right.
For the farmers that I love.
That's not shit.
And Hannity was almost his last word on each one of his little segments. Well, that's the end of the Russia investigation.
Right.
You know, that was his
It's always the end.
He solved it? Can't he solve it?
Done. You can all stop looking. I've solved it. You can all stop looking. Stop looking. I said stop looking.
I guess that goes back to my point is this is a hot button topic for a lot of people, this Russia thing, and we should be capitalizing on it more than
why can't we redefine it? Like, I think that a large part of the progressive message, and not strictly just the Democrats, but the progressive message is the patriotism is fighting against the collusion with Russia. You know?
Yep.
If you're going to wrap in a flag, foreign nationals, man.
Well, I was listening to an interview today, and, like the military we were talking about, it's hard to know their political, which way they really lean,
Right. Well, generally to the right.
Well, and what came up was a staffer for Michael Flynn said, I think he's a tried and true Democrat. And it was a shocker to me that there are Democrats in the military, but to hear this coming from Michael Flynn's staffer, I was like, well, how is it that they can do this? Because they have a different set of what it takes to be patriotic, and I guess that's my point. Is
we define it differently?
Yeah, is we don't define it. I think that we look like we're squirrels.
But I've seen. Look, my brother-in-law served 2 tours in Afghanistan with the Air National Guard, and he's progressive Democrat all the way through and through. And whenever he tries to have a conversation with people, and they bring up and he goes, well, no, hold on, I'm ex-military, I served 2 tours in Afghanistan. They just dismiss it. Mm-hmm. They don't care. If he was on the right, they'd all be like, oh, this is genius. You served 2 tours in Afghanistan. But because he would dare to put forward a progressive point of view, then it's just completely, they don't care about your 2 tours. Fuck you. We don't give a shit. Go fuck yourself.
They only care about veterans and military when it suits them.
Exactly.
And babies before they're born.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
We don't care about taking care of them after they're born.
no.
But
No.
Well, actually, that's what the military's for.
Oh, we'll take care of them.
We are North Korea.
yeah, with just more money.
I mean, what was it? $1.2 trillion going to our defense budget?
Well, that's the
$1.2
plan.
Does that include the math error?
The $2 trillion, we just double counted on the $2 trillion. I love that.
Oops.
And when they pointed it out, the budget director, Mulvaney, he was basically like, no, we didn't. But you can see the look in his eyes of like, oh, fuck.
Shit.
It's like, really? These people are, oh my God.
Our list is growing to civics, reading comprehension, basic arithmetic. So we'll submit a list to Betsy DeVos.
Don't even.
Let's not even start that.
We don't have time for
Well,
conversation.
Whenever she testifies, you just see the look in her face, the deer in the headlights look. Like, I'm rich. Do I have to talk to you?
Greatest state export ever.
And what do you
Betsy
think
DeVos.
the first school will segregate?
Well,
And which state will it be
it's
in?
going to be in Montgomery, Alabama. They're going to start first
Right.
to last.
Right.
And they're going to undo it like that. They're like unraveling.
On a timeline.
First in, first out.
Fair's fair.
So Betsy DeVos is like, well, first I've hired Superman to fly around the world the opposite direction. And so we're going to start to go back in time, save Lois, and segregate.
Yeah, I think it will be. It'll be down there for sure.
Yeah, it'll start there. And then it'll be cheering crowds, not the blistering awful
And
human
you know what?
beings.
They're
all
going to
backwards
add
now.
in language for all the new stuff, David. It's not just going to be color. It's going to be all the bathroom things. It's going to
There's going to be anyone who
dress codes.
is
They're
not
going
white
to
and
work it out.
straight. If you're not white and straight, then you have to go to a different school. Over here in the shanty.
Superman is white and straight.
He's an alien. He's an illegal alien!
God.
She's hired an illegal alien!
And he was created by Jews.
An illegal alien created by Jews is the only person that can save us.
The Man of Steel doesn't just wear a cape, he wears a yarmulke too. Get ready for Superman, the movie.
I'm not just gonna save you, I'm gonna make you a deal.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from Israel who came to Metropolis with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, able to bake fresh bagels with his bare hands, and who disguised as Clark Kentberg, mild-mannered lawyer, fights a never-ending battle to find a good bargain, a nice matzo ball soup, and a delicious corned beef sandwich.
Be a good son, take your mother to the movie and buy her some popcorn, she'll be so happy.
Subscribe to the No Cry Zone on iTunes and Stitcher and at abnormalentertainment.com/No Cry Zone. Find the No Cry Zone on Facebook and tweet at No Cry Zone. Email nocryzonepodcast@gmail.com. And for more podcasts, comics, books, movies, and more, head to abnormalentertainment.com.
You've been listening to the Abnormal Entertainment Network.